Hello, and welcome back to another video. In this week's video, I thought I'd take a break from throwing on the wheel and pottery clay and instead share how I go about making some charms that I make out of polymer clay. And the charms that I'm making are cat charms that is of a cat character that I named Bean. And I came up with Bean earlier this year, and he is more or less inspired by my own black cat and maybe just black cats in general. So for those of you who don't have a black cat or are unaware, black cats can have these moments of, intensity. But if you are around them long enough, you'll find that they usually have very derpy and aloof personalities. At least that is very true for my own black cat. And that's exactly what I try to capture in Bean. So these little round blobs I'm forming are essentially Bean's body, and I'm just going to start sculpting and attaching his ears, tail, eyes, whiskers, and mouth to this blob. I really enjoy working with polymer clay because I feel like you can do so much with the material, and it's pretty straightforward to work with, and it has a pretty low barrier to entry, meaning you can work with it in confined spaces, it's not messy, and it's relatively cheap. You can find good quality polymer clay in both local art supply stores and chains. For instance, if you're in America, they're readily available in Blake's or Michael's. However, when I'm making charms, it can get quite frustrating to work with because the tinier the piece that I'm making and the more intricate, the more tedious it can be to sculpt and place those really small details exactly where I want them. Like, obviously, I edited this video, and let me tell you, I had to cut out so much footage because it took so long to get the small details like the eyes and whiskers exactly how I wanted and where I wanted them to be. With that being said, I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons here, but if you ever find yourself on Etsy and looking through a polymer clay artist shop and their smaller items are more expensive than you expected, the price probably reflects less about the material used to make the product and more of the artist's time, attention, and effort used to make it. At least that's, my experience. So I'm taking a pause on sculpting, and here I'm adding a head pin to all of the charms, which I'll turn into essentially an eye pin later on in the video. I used to use pre-made eye pins and super glue for my charms, but I found that the super glue was not secure enough, and I basically wasn't very confident that my charms would, hold up as long as I wanted them to. So I changed it up and I started using head pins, and I don't think there have been any issues with a charm falling off or things like that since. So yeah, I really like using head pins rather than the pre-made eye pins. And this is what all of the beans look like now with a head pin. So yeah, all that's left is to add the whiskers and the mouth, and then sculpting should be complete. So I'll see you in a minute or so. So this is what the bean charm looks like when he's all sculpted. Sometimes there's little specks of dust or debris that will get on the clay while I'm working with it, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up with a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol, and off they will go to get baked. And this is the next day now, and after being baked in my toaster oven. I honestly love the matte color of this clay, and I really wish I could just leave it like this, but I think sealing the charms with some sort of glaze, whether it's UV resin or polyurethane, is important because, it's still pretty fragile in the sense that, if I were to knock it against something, I wouldn't be surprised if the tail or a whisker came off of it, and sealing it would just give the charm a little bit more strength. However, it does make it glossy, so, if you do prefer the matte look, I guess that's a downer. So I personally use polyurethane for my glaze, and I use 2 coats for each charm because I just think that's what looks the best. And I'm also using the paper clips as a way to hang the charms on the strings of my tennis racket so that they can dry. And yeah, the bean on the right is after the first coat of glaze is dried. And as you can see, it's a lot glossier than the unglazed one. So, let me know in the comments if you prefer matte or glossy. I'd love to know your opinion. And these are the finished beans. I hope they capture the essence of all black cats out there. If you like bean, you can find them on my Etsy shop along with a bunch of other handmade items made by yours truly. So yeah, all of my charms come with a lobster claw attachment and a keychain accessory. So if you want to turn them into a keychain, you are more than welcome to do so. But I've also seen some reviewers add the charms to their necklaces, which I think is super cute. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.